Hey, Rahubat, Rahubat. Welcome, welcome. Greetings, Moisar family. Just wait for more people to join. Had a little technical glitch, but nothing we can't solve. So we're live, we're live, we're live. Wu-Sabat, Ask Us Anything, Season 2, Episode 11. Yeah, so let everyone know we're live. Share the link. Rahubat, Rahubat. Her seed 432. His watcher 6963. Rahubat, Rose Jackson. Rahubat, Jason Mason. Rahubat, believe it. Better believe it. Rahubat. We're just waiting for more people to join. We're live, we're live, we're live. Wu-Sabat. Bring the master teacher home. Rahubat, Rahubat. Marami. Rahubat. Rahubat. Amina Sudan. Brother Booker. Rahubat. If I can't pronounce your name properly, please forgive me, yeah? Do my best. Ziki Speech. Diary of Kush. Welcome. Rahubat, Rahubat. Wealthstein. Adekoya. Rahubat, Rahubat. Let everyone know we're live. Guada 9, Rahubat. Hartford Henchman, Rahubat. Peace. Remember to hit the like button. Yes, subscribe if you haven't already on OSM Vision. Share our videos. And let's get it. Free the master teacher. If you don't know who the master teacher is, we're going to tell you. That's a track by Love and Unity, and it's called Freedom for the Master Teacher, okay? So, you know, that's my current theme song. Yeah, if you have another one you want to recommend, let me know. Yeah, Rahubat Ria. Okay, let's go. Let's get into it. So, how you all doing? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We can't thank you enough to all those that are, you know, subscribing, tuning in, sharing our videos, and transforming themselves, you know, from 6 ether to 9 ether. And we just do our best. And I want to say that, you know, we get a lot of love. But, you know, there's always two sides to everything, right? So, you know, we don't focus on any haters or any negativity because we want to stay on the positive side. And the thing about people like that is that, you know, you have a choice. Everyone has a choice. There are so many different things in the world that you can choose to go and occupy your time with if you don't feel that Wu-Sabat is for you. But don't try and speak for other people. Let everyone make their own mind up themselves. Because the thing is, people think it's all due to just the physical aspect, but you have higher vibrations, you have a spirit, you have a soul, you have ancestors, you have beings that are vibrating on a higher level that can still guide you. And so someone might be telling you something and it's touching you internally, it's touching your inner being. So you can feel it, you know what's true and what's not true. So as we always say, truth will sustain and live on, but false things will always perish. So, yeah, welcome everyone joining. Inner G, Maggie, Emmanuel, Isabel, Waiters, sorry. Love is love, for real. Freedom Master Teacher, 100%. Jason Mason, yeah, you're doing great, excellent. Captain Tenno, Rahul back. Okay, any questions? Remember, if you haven't done so already, yeah, join the Telegram group. See, Wu-Sabat for us is 24/7, 365, you know, so you may carry on asking questions in the Telegram chat, and we interact. You know, we collaborate and we interact with everyone. Wu-Sabat's on a level play field, yeah? So we're all equal, we're all gods, we're all leaders and goddesses. The number to dial in live, of course, as usual, if you're dialing in from outside the UK, you have to add the +44. So it's +44 753 99 63 882. I repeat, +44 753 996 3882. So you can call in right now, call in live and ask us anything. Ask us your question. All right? Okay. First question I've got, how did we get married under our own culture? Again, English is technology. I always have to say that. Did is past tense. So, you know, when you look at words, yeah, it's like do, doing, did, right? Do or done. Yeah, so it's like do, did, done, doing. We like done. And our culture is still alive. So we still have our culture. That's the beauty. We've been given back our culture of Wu-Sabat. So we have our culture, marriages, and obviously depending on what culture you are in, they will perform what you're calling marriage rites differently. So we do still have our marriage rites, and in Wu-Sabat, it's a very particular process. You know, like if you read the Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, and you read Genetic Kiss, and you read certain scrolls that Parnabab Yanun has given us, you will find that we got a caller, yeah? All right, let me take the live call and then we come back. But yeah, if I stray, I forget, bring me back to your question, but priority is for the live callers, all right? Hey, Rahubat, Zamal, what's your name? Where you calling from? Hey, Rahubat. Hey, it's Terry. I'm starting to be familiar with certain people because they're called all the time. How are you doing today, Zamal?
I'm good, Zamal. How are you doing?
Doing great. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So my question is regarding consciousness.
Regarding?
Yeah. So from the consciousness.
Oh, consciousness. Yes.
Yes, please. So like from the study I've done so far, I understand that there are levels of consciousness.
Yes.
Like everything is conscious, just depending on the level and degree.
Correct.
And then which also ties in according to your level of vibration, you will belong to a certain level of dimension. So I just quite didn't understand on lower life forms. What I mean lower life forms, like for example, we have pets like dogs,
yes,
cats, and those just lower, which they say they are in the second dimension or second density. Okay. So is there a point where they raise their vibration to a certain level that they come to third dimension or become human in their evolution?
Okay.
That's my question.
Okay, got your question. All right, so the question, just to paraphrase and clarify, is about consciousness, the level of consciousness, and then how it relates to, as you mentioned, animals. So the most powerful organ or body part you have is your mind, or your brain, shall I say, right? And as we teach in Wu-Sabat, your physical body has counterparts, and your physical body is an interface. You interface with outside of the body and different levels of vibrations outside of the physical realm and the material plane. So your mind acts as that interface between the higher levels. So your mind is where you receive your thoughts, and it's likened to the central processing unit of a computer. It's called central or center because that's the middle or the center where you're able to receive and transmit, okay? When we say you have a radio in your head, so your brain using electrical signals, because when you look and study your brain, it's about sending signals, like when you look at a computer circuit board, right? The buses are used to send, let's say, electrical signals, but you know, in the computer sense, it's zeros and one. And it's the same when you're now accessing the higher realms, you have to have your mind. And when we go from the bottom upwards, we will say, you know, you have the physical plane or the material plane, then you go on, like, it depends on what scale you're using, but we will say you go on to the plane of force, you know, the spiritual plane, the soul plane, and then the mental plane. That's the middle, where if you looked at having 9, so you communicate above to beings that are higher than the 4. And these are ethereal planes as well. So you are connected all the way, but only certain beings are connected all the way to the 9, because ether is in everything, but the 9 ether is like the highest level of vibration, if you may use that. So when we're saying conscious, you have to remember that a computer was modeled off of the way you work as a human. So your central processing unit being your brain, and then you have memory, and you have different types of memory, just like a computer has, you know, hard drive, which you store information on, and you can lose or delete things from there. But you also have other memory referred to as ROM and RAM. ROM is the read-only memory, so you only have that as well, where you have memories that have been stored within your being, within your cells, and then you have what we call the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, right? And all those relate to how you access this information. And information is stored in energy, if you want to use that term, right? So, you know, crystals can store energy. We got hard drive, but when you look at the hard drive, you have a disk, and within the disk is where these numbers, zeros and ones, are stored in terms of the data. So yeah, when you're saying higher consciousness, it's like animals, they can only vibrate onto the spirit level, and beings that are mixed with animals can only go up to the 6th ether level, right? So this is why when we say spirit, everything has a spirit, everything vibrates to the spiritual level or spiritual realm. And this is why you can have disembodied beings that are still roaming the planet. So when you're saying consciousness, you have information that you are aware of, you have information that is hidden, as in your subconscious, and you have information that is super conscious, right? So you all have to do some research and study. This is what Wu-Sabat encourages everyone to do. So depending on you can raise your vibration, you can raise your intellect by exercising your brain, because most people don't use a lot of their brain capacity or power, and the scientists would tell you most use less than 10%, right? So you have 90% to still access. And this is where the notion of DNA comes in, because you store information in your DNA. They're now making computers out of DNA. You store information in your melanin, you store information in your cells. And so the more you are aware of this information that is hidden in the sub. As I said, sub is underneath, and I used the example before of a submarine, submental or subconscious. So it's there, but you're not aware of it because it's like it's hidden. And then you have subliminal. Subliminal messages is where I can put a message in front of you, but it's hidden, it's underneath, and you don't realize it, but it will have an effect on you. And that message can come in the form of light, it can come in the form of pictures, sound. And so marketing experts, people who know how to send and use messages that will affect you on a subconscious level, will use that. This is why with Wu-Sabat, it's all about information, studying, learning, dissecting, breaking it down, so that you are now using your own mind. Because if someone can control your mind without you knowing it, then they're affecting you. Because remember, I said that you make decisions based on your thoughts. And so if someone says, go and eat this, and you don't realize that, you get that message and you act on it. And so some beings that know this information, that are more intelligent, will utilize that to their advantage. So the first thing is for you to really be aware. That's why we put out the information on the fallacies and, you know, the lies and the things that are programming you, right? Programming you to do and act and behave and do things without really knowing why, or, you know, the reason for doing it. Hence, religion is a tool, because you're given instructions and told to do this and do that. Yeah, I hope that's answered your question, because we covered the different conscious levels, and the more intelligent you are, the more you raise your vibration, the more you can tap into the higher realms, and you can only go as far as you are able to, because not everybody is able to access the higher realms. Okay, so next caller, Rahubat, how you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question?
Rahubat, my name is Femi. I'm calling from Toronto. How are you doing?
Doing my best, Rahubat.
Glad to hear that. I have two questions.
Sure.
My first question is, I'm currently reading The Man from Planet Risk. And I have a question about, like, one of the questions someone asked that wasn't really clear to me about, like, duplicates. And the master teacher actually used the word duplicates.
Yes.
And clones as well. I'm trying to understand, like, what it actually means that, like, we all have clones, if that's the same as, like, having twins from, like, I don't know how to like phrase the question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just trying to understand what he means by duplicate. And also my second question is about, like, the planetary alignment happening in January. I just want to know if that has any spiritual, like, meaning.
Okay. Tawa.
All right, thank you.
Right, that's good that you're reading. That's what everyone should be doing, reading and then asking questions. The Man from Planet Risk, in that part, I don't have it right here, but that part, it explains the difference between a clone and a dub. That's where you get the word duplicate from, a dub, which is, a dub is like, you hear, you know, like, for those of us who know what a dub plate is, and twigging. He explains about twigging. So you can, you know, like twins, you can have identical twins, and what's the other twins you can have? Yeah, but there's a name for it. Simon, it came and it went. But yeah, so with the dub, it's a duplicate. That's what it's really referring to. So depending on, like, when you're cloning, what does it say? Fraternal, that's it. Like, you can, in order to have the same, exact same copy of something, you would have to be in the exact same conditions, environment and everything, you see. So that's what a dub or a duplicate would be, because when you clone, if it's not done in the exact same environment, you know, like, this is why project management, they say, like, project in a controlled environment. So if you're carrying out an experiment or a project, you need to make sure that to be able to replicate or reproduce that result again, the conditions have to be right. So the ancestors that were doing this dubbing as opposed to cloning or twigging, they're able to make sure, this is why when you start to look at, when people talk about the Anunnaki and the scientists like Erishkigal and Nagal, and when they were cloning, they had to have specific conditions so that they can be able to get the right result. When we're talking about having different clones, the master expounded on that and said that, because somebody else asked that question to him live on the land when he was with us, and he was explaining that cloning is something that, you know how ironic that is. We were just talking about cloning, weren't we, King? So we were like, cloning is happening quite rapid now, and it's really for the people that have the money to be able to clone. So in the past, those would have been like the pharaohs and the higher class of people that had money, because even today, people are cloning, and from what I remembered a few years ago, it was like £1 million, starting at £1 million to clone yourself. And companies like Clone Aid, which the master teacher mentions, the Holy Tablet, they were perfecting cloning back then. And when Dolly the sheep was presented to the world as well as a first clone, well, we knew that, because the thing with cloning is that it's not approved in different jurisdictions. Some countries, because there are ethical issues with cloning. But on the internet now, because we're living in the information age and the age of exposure, many people are coming forward and talking about cloning and talking about, the FDA, that's what I was saying about you have to be approved. So it says here that the FDA approves use of cloned animals for food, for example. So do some research on, cloning, and look into Clone Aid, because the different countries there will have different rules. So people can clone meat, clone anything really, but is it allowed? Because imagine, and this is where it's actually also interesting, because with the advent of AI now, they're able to replicate, you're hearing people replicating artists, making music that sounds exactly like the artist. And that artificial intelligence is now being inputted into robots. And the skin suit of a robot is getting more and more authentic and looking more like our skin suits. And you're seeing in movies, one of the movies is the one with, what they call the, dun, 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 dun. What they call it again? I'm sure somebody's hearing me and going,
do it again.
Dun, 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 dun. And it's got, what's his name? You know what I'm talking about. But that movie, they show you a lot of the skin suits that even in Hollywood, actors, they put on these skin suits and they look really real. If you go back and watch the movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy when he's in a barbershop, Eddie Murphy played all those roles and they were like different people in different like skin suits, but obviously at that time they hadn't perfected it. Now they can make skin suits that look really real. So what I'm basically saying is with the cloning thing is that Mission Impossible, that's it, thank you. This is live, man, so sometimes it happens.
Chief NZ.
Yeah, Mission Impossible, that's the one, thank you. Yeah, so cloning now is becoming something that people are telling you that artists, let me say why I was talking about the ethical side of it. So imagine that you can clone somebody and then use that clone to commit a crime or do certain things, and then the real person gets arrested. Even the whole thing with Diddy, like recently, people were showing that there was a clone, and they show you the differences between the two. They show you celebrities that are glitching out in certain situations, and you're thinking, that's odd behavior. And people are saying that that's because the clone is malfunctioning. So, yeah, so clones in those days were really like for the top echelon of society, because they may need body parts. Like now, for example, you might need a heart and you need a heart transplant, but you can't afford it. So you have to go on a waiting list. Now, by the time you may find a match a donor that's going to be able to give you their, their heart. So, obviously if someone's giving you their heart, they're deceased probably, right? So what the scientists are doing, they're actually trying to clone and make up body parts. They've successfully created ears on top of mice and lab rats, So the whole cloning thing is, the more the scientists know about how to clone, they clone in body parts. But in that time and era, and even now, if you can afford it, you can get a clone. Or a clone just takes your DNA material and they regenerate and create you. And imagine some celebrities can earn money, right? Imagine I have 10 clones that are working in 10 different countries at the same time doing concerts, and I'm getting paid 10 times. And you don't know because you think I'm the real one that is in, Australia, and another one's in America. How are you going to know? You see, there are things that are ethical that they're still trying to work out. So, yeah, we can have clones, and the Man from Planet Risk book is really talking about, those beings that were able to afford it and clone and keep being. So when they needed a liver, the only thing that they had problems with, as the master explained to us, is the brain, because the brain is such a complex part of you that, the cryogenics, they can't preserve the brain. Like cryogenics is when you freeze something and leave it, and then you can bring it back alive or use it. Like IVF, these are things that they utilize, cells, stem cells. So yeah, so that's what it's talking about in terms of a dub is a duplicate and a clone is different, because it doesn't have to be in the exact same environment and condition. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Oh yeah, I have to go back to the question I was answering before, if I can remember. What was it? Oh, here we go, the marriage situation. So yeah, in our culture, I gave you a couple of scrolls. The Gospel of Yanun on the Sacred Feminine, Genetic Kiss. We have a patriarchal, I think the Laws and Commandments, violations or something. I'll dig that out, but we'll put it in the chat. We'll put it in the Telegram group if you want to kind of buy or get hold of that one. But yeah, so we have rules on marriage and what you can or what you cannot do in our culture of Wu-Sabat. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, we have someone from Delta, Nigeria in the house. Obura, welcome. Believe it. What do you think about the Pleiadians, and is it true that they were created by insectoids? I mean, that's a very broad question in terms of what do I think about the Pleiadians. It's just like saying, what do you think about Asian people? Or what do you think about Chinese people? But the Pleiadians, they're responsible for the Adamites because their genetics were used to, graft with the graftation of the Adamites. And they did that for good reason, for the fact that they themselves were being attacked and eaten by the Draconians, which are reptilians, right? And they offered and made a deal to say that, could you stop eating us if we give you a replacement, if we give you a food source? And so that's how they were able to, graft the Adamites. But the Pleiadians, at the same time, were passing themselves off as gods, because they're extraterrestrial, just a species of extraterrestrials, as there are many. Many extraterrestrials came to the planet, and because primitive man didn't have the intelligence or the same amount of knowledge they passed themselves off as gods coming from above. And this is the stories that have winded up into religion. So extraterrestrials will land and go to different places and go to different people and pass themselves off as gods. And this is why Hitler was in contact with these Pleiadians, and they told him that they were the supreme race. And so he went about trying to create the supreme race and the Aryan race. And that's how that come about. In terms of insectoids, there are many insect type beings, like the Predator is one that, that people have seen on the actual movies, the Predators. So there are different types of beings, but in terms of they were created by the insectoids. I don't know where you're getting that, or if you can give us the reference for that. But many extraterrestrials will abduct different ones that are weaker than them. So, for example, you know, the reptilians would abduct the greys, different species of greys, and then conduct their own clones and their own, and then make them work for them, you know. So yeah, I hope that answered that question. Can you break down the similarity between Wakanda from Black Panther in Mount Zion in Africa? Well, the Wakanda in Black Panther is more like the city called Wahani, or Egypt of the West, Tamare, that we built under the guidance of the master teacher Parnabab Yanun. And if you watch that Black Panther movie properly, you see that our language, the script of our language, is actually used in that movie. And why we say it's like Tamare, it's because when you look at what Tamare was doing, we were well advanced. We built pyramids. We had different races, from different tribes. So when you were coming in onto Tamare, you would see all the different flags of the different races of tribes from different parts of Africa, the Caribbean, basically worldwide. And we were basically building everything that we needed. And that was like a model city where when you went there, you'd never seen anything like it. Because obviously Egypt, the old Egypt of the East, it's in ruins. Even when you go there, you're just seeing the remains of a great civilization that was once, you know, thriving, and the cradle of civilization where everybody came and got knowledge from, and to go back to, you know, where they came from and utilize it. And some people then started to, you know, act like it was theirs and stole it basically. But yeah, Mount Zion now, that goes back into the the Bible references, because Zion is supposed to mean peace, right? But when you start to look into it, the word Zion, you have the learned elders of Zion, which is dealing with Zionist, which goes back to the phonetics dealing with this being called Zuen, and, you know, making evil fair seeming. So when you hear Mount Zion, you think this is what they call it, the holy city, right, in the biblical sense. And when you look at even the movie, The Matrix, that's what they term their city. They called it Zion, right? So Zion is given to look like it's a positive thing in terms of the city of peace, or Mount Zion, but then it really ties into Zuen, who is the father of who people call the devil. Now, the problem, sometimes people mix up the two, because the titles or the names that are being used to describe the devil. So, for example, if you said Iblis, right? Iblis means rebellious or rebellious one, which is a description of someone who rebels. It's particularly relating to him because of the story that when Adam was created, yeah, all the angels were, this is from the Quran, by the way, all the angels were asked to bow down to Adam, and Iblis refused to. He rebelled, right? So he became labeled as Iblis. But Iblis, being the son of Tarnush or Zuen, is also, because his father also rebelled. So they can share that name. It's like the word the devil, or devil, right? People will call and put the definite article in front of it and say the devil, which makes it sound like there's only one, and then a concentrated effort by way of religion makes you think there's only one. And then they give you this story that the devil is in hell, he has horns, and he has a pitchfork, and then they're kind of like mentally, because remember, it's always about your mind. Controlling your mind and controlling how you think means they control how you act and how you behave, what you consider to be moral or, you know, or immoral, like so good and bad. You know, why do you do what you do and what's wrong with what you do and so on. So I'm just saying that words are what spellbound people, because if you think there's only one devil, then you're not going to see all the other devils that are doing devilishment around you. Whereas the devil has, you know, seed, and they procreate and they multiply. And so your neighbor could be a devil, you know, the school teacher, the doctor, the dentist, the politician, the student grant. Anything can be used in a devilish way to control you and have you be able to do something you don't want to do. So yeah, I hope that's answered that question about Mount Zion. That was just referring to the mountain where, coincidentally, you know, when you start to relate to how it matches up with religion, you'll go back and you'll find certain things, just like, for example, the Moses story where Moses went up into the mountain to receive the 10 commandments, right? When you start to research and find out that these commandments tie back to the Anunnaki stories of, you know, these tablets, the Gilgamesh Epic, the Enuma Elish, Atrahasis, and many of the Akkadian tablets, then when you research, you're like, oh, this is where they're saying he went to get this information. But in the biblical sense, you're thinking like he went up and spoke to this, you know, this God, which may have been, you know, him just, not may have been, he was speaking to one of these Elohims. All right, so let's keep going. Do you move differently knowing you expose governing powers? Truth is truth. I mean, it's not illegal to tell the truth yet, so not committing any crime by speaking the truth. So I have no reason to. But I know what you mean. Of course, injustice is injustice, as our master teacher is facing right now. So, you know, anything can happen, but, you know, I keep saying it, that the most noble thing is to live the truth and share the truth and help others find the truth, because the opposite of truth is not really what people want. Nobody wants to be lied to. This is why I'm saying things like, even now, you know, with the extraterrestrials that are now exposing themselves more clearly than before. You know, you're going to hear, oh, they're drones, because there has to always be a counteraction, because you have people that are benefiting from the chaos and the confusion and the lies and controlling people and their souls and their minds, you see. So, and then you have other people who think that's not nice, that's not a good thing to do. So why are you controlling? It's like, let me give you another example. It's like having pets, right? You're taking an animal, for example, from its natural habitat, putting it in a cage just because you want to have a pet. And that animal's now imprisoned by you. You might feed it, you know, give it nice surroundings, but it's not in its natural, you know, in its natural nature where it's supposed to be. And let's say if you took a tiger or a lion and you put it in a cage and then, you know, put it in a zoo, and you want everybody to come, and even when you go to the zoo, like they are encaged, and you think you're doing something great, but then when the animal behaves as it would like to in its natural environment, where, you know, people go to the zoo and they, you know, these animals might strike at them or, you know, unalive them and eat them. Oh, that's a bad thing, it's a terrible thing to do. But why did you do that? Like, you have people, and again, we have to open your mind, we have to make you think. So we're not attacking anybody. You'll have someone with a fish tank, a nice fish tank in their house with fishes, and, you know, they create a little environment so the fish thinks it's still in its natural environment when it's not. And then they will have a dining table, they will sit around and eating fish. What do you think the fish in the gold tank is going to think, looking at you doing that to its family? You know, so I'm just saying that, yeah, we have to tell the truth. So, nope, I don't. And to be honest, I think when you have to get to a certain level of influence before they consider you to be of any significance anyway. Okay, let's keep going. Why doesn't YouTube allow someone to explain a different realm? Well, this is where it goes back to there are rules and regulations, and freedom of speech is not really free, because the platforms that are giving you the opportunity to have freedom of speech, they still have rules and regulations, and you get flagged. And you notice sometimes we have to be very, I mean, I don't really use profanity or vulgarity anyway, but because it's still a tone, it's still a vibration, it's still a frequency, and it will affect someone. And we want our content to be available to everyone. So, you know, we are very mindful. The way we present ourselves is important. And, you know, we don't be using, you know, that type of language, number one. But, you know, you're hearing us say things like on a live. I mean, that's not a term or a word that I use in my natural vocabulary. But we have to be mindful that your content will be taken down, or, you know, or flagged, or you can lose your channel. People have built channels with millions of followers and lots of content, and it's been taken down, and they can do it if they like, because it's their platform. So we need to really be building and having our own platform. This is what happened. Remember with Donald Trump, when he was banned from Twitter, and then he just created his own platform. But then obviously now, him and the Rocket Man are best friends, or the Robot Man, they're best friends. So he obviously changed the name as well now, interestingly. Look at the video I did on the X, that symbol. It's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, we say, and, you know, we're just sharing information for educational purposes. And, you know, that's what schools and universities do, right? So we just take it to the highest level in terms of we teach you more about the universe, multiverse, omniverse, spirituality. But they don't allow, somebody said, why do they? So what I'm basically saying is their platform, they can have whatever rules. And also they will say that if it's something that's not based on facts, you may be misleading people, and you don't know what that's gonna do to someone explaining a different realm that they can't quantify or, you know, prove. So they can say you're misleading people. How to get resources to live in this world. That's actually quite easy. It's easier than we think. The first thing is to change your mindset and your vibration, because once you do that, you start to attract whatever you want. And that could be the right people that will work with you or sponsor you or be a part of what you're doing. But you also have to, you know, have something you want to do. Like we say, the helping hand you're looking for is at the end of your arm. That's a saying from Partner Babylon, the master teacher. So you have to recognize when you say you're a God, it's not just to sound good, I'm God, I'm God. And then you get what we call a God complex. Because if you are God, then you have to act and behave and do godly things. You have to be able to create what you want. That's what gods do. They create. They're in control of their environment. You can't be God and have needs. This is why it doesn't make sense that the God of the Bible and Quran get jealous, and they want sacrifices, and they want people to do things to appease them. Like people will say, God needs love, and you say, why? They say he's lonely. It's like, or they say things like, you know, love is a need to a certain degree. Not saying that we don't need each other, but I'm saying for the creator of all the, you know, the universe and all of that, he's got everything. So why does he need anything? Where you see in church, or people say, we're building a new church for God and we're collecting money for God. It's like, God can just make 1 million, billion, zillion, gazillion pounds or dollars if he wants. So what you're saying is you're using marketing to get, you know, the congregation to donate so you guys can build a bigger building, have whatever you need. So I'm basically saying your mind is the first step, because whatever you want, you can make happen by way of your mind. But that may need other people that are vibrating or thinking on that same mindset as you, so they can work with you, all right? That's what community is about, and coming together to work together. Okay, Rahubat, where can I find a book about the significance of certain names? A friend has a kid on the way. We have a book called the Book of Names because we teach about tones, vibration, and frequencies. So a name is a tone, and it has a vibration and a resonance. So it's important to name your child, properly. And if you go back and look at ancient times and our cultures, a name had to have a meaning, and it had to have a tie to the bloodline, to the family. You know, we didn't just, and again, please, if you name any of these names I'm about to say, we didn't just make up names like Shaniqua or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like they had to have a name that, like David, meant something, or Dawood, or which means beloved, and you know, we can go through different names and it means something. This is why Wu-Sabat, you go back into your culture, because that tone, that vibe, you know, you hear people have names like Mad Killer or whatever, you know, names that are so like, right, why would you call yourself Killer? Like, the negative and the vibration of that, you know, I'm just saying tones are important. So this is why even in the Bible, they tell you that don't use the Lord's name in vain. And, you know, in the in Judaism, they don't even pronounce the name. So instead of saying the name, they just say Hashem, which means the name, as opposed to what is the name. So when he was, when you know, I think it's the Abraham or Moses story where he says, I am that, yeah, it was Moses, I am that I am. He says, that's my name, I am that I am. And now everyone kind of uses that. But we're saying names are important. We have a book called the Names Book, Ancient Egyptian Names. In fact, you know what? That's so interesting. My first book I read was called The Book of Names by the Master Teacher. And yeah, changed my life. And because he went into the origins of who we are, where we came from, how we lost our identity, our names, our language. And back then, you know, the movies like Roots were out with Kunta Kinte. You know, the name is very important. So yeah, we've got a book that you can get to choose your name from. And when you become more of the family in the community and you go through, you know, the processes to get into certain orders, you get a new name, and names are titles that should reflect. You should watch and study the child to see its nature and its personality, and then name it accordingly, right?
Just hit 100 likes. Just hit 100 likes.
Oh yeah. Can we hit 100 likes before? Okay.
But we've done it.
We've done it already? Oh, well done. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, please log in and participate. Don't spectate. You know, join the Telegram group. We're trying to get to 999 before and we got a few special things for you when we hit that. So help us get there so we can give you these gifts. All right. Right. I was just reading something about, did the master say something? Let's go back to that. Cover that one, did we? Yeah. We're going to get 999 today. Oh, yeah, I like that. Thanks, Jason. What did the master do? That's the one. What did the master teacher use to break down the words in the Bible to its original language, like the word God, for example? Yeah, you know what's amazing with this planet? You can have people that master a subject, yeah? A subject that you would never have any interest in. Like, someone can have a master's in how rubber bands work or how insects work, you know, just anything you can think of. When you do a great deal of study in that subject, you'll be amazed what you find. So the master studied languages. He's a linguist, yeah? And when people study language, you might think, what use is that? But then in his case, the ability to be able to translate all these books and all these tablets and things that were left because he's a linguist, then means that you get to know the truth. You know, it's like, I ain't gonna lie, when people study geography, I was like, why would anybody want to study geography? But when you start to go into it, you find out that it's very significant and very, very important. So he's a linguist and he can, and because he studied the original language, Misbatia, Nuwapic, Sabaic, as some people know it by, he was able to read the ancient scripts, the walls of Egypt, you know, what people call hieroglyphics, the cuneiform tablets, you know, the script cuneiform, and some people say cuneiform. But yeah, so language means that you can look at what was left for us in the past and decipher things. So when you say what did he use, he basically read all the different versions of the Bible, found out where they came from, and then, you know, it led him to these ancient tablets, and he realized that these were taken from, you know, like the Enumilish, the Gilgamesh epics, etc. So, and the word God, if you use, so I said what I said at the beginning about any subject is because the study of words, you know, you can use something called etymology, yeah, which is the study of words, the study of the origins of words. How did the word become what it is today? What was it in the 10th century? You know, what was it 1,000 years ago, if it ever existed anyway? And what you'll find is that you have what they call modern languages. Modern languages is telling you that they didn't exist up until a certain point. So then you go to ancient languages, which is going beyond the modern languages, because like everything else, languages evolve. And this is one of the issues when you speak to people that say this is the word of God or this is the word of Allah, and you say, but this language didn't exist at a certain point in time, but the planet existed, people existed, many cultures existed, and they were speaking languages and talking. So what is God's language? And then you start to say to people, look, this is not authentic because this is not the original language. And then when modern languages are created, they add grammar. You know, like I was explaining to a Muslim that they have a system called tajweed. Yeah, tajweed is when they introduce vowels into the Arabic, and you have different types of Arabic. You have classical Arabic, you have Kufic, you know, different scripts as well. So when they started to introduce this tajweed, they introduced things like tamabuta and you know, different grammatical strokes to the words that change the pronunciation. And so then you say, that's not what that word means. And you can hear, for example, okay, I'll give you an example, right? So if you ask a Muslim, what does Muslim mean? Most of the time you will hear them say that it means to submit. Yeah? But the actual word, when you break it down, is mu salam. The root words of salam is peace. Mu is a prefix, because you have suffixes and you have prefixes when you're looking at words and studying languages, right? So mu would mean one who is of something. So it's clear that mu salam is one who is of peace. Now, if you're taught that it means to submit, it's not that it's a problem, because if you really understand why it's ended up as that, you can say, right, if you're one of peace, you would naturally submit to the laws of nature or to the being that you're subscribing to. It's the same with the word Hotep in the conscious community, who talk about Kemet, and they use words like to deal with Egypt. You hear Hotep, Hotep. And we say, if you study the vowels as well in languages, Hotep can be Hatat when you replace the O and the E with an A. What does Hatat mean in our language of Misbatia? Hatat means bliss, right? So Hotep, they will say, means peace, right? But if you're in a state of peace to that level, then it's bliss. So you can see how it gets distorted, and there are lots of distortions in many things that you're taught, which is why the master teacher had to come along and write books like Set the Record Straight. Let's set the record straight, you know, because when you're being misled, it may not even be intentionally, but through translations and mistranslations, words end up like singular, like in the sense of God. Like you say, where did they get it from? You look at the origins of the etymology, you end up with it coming from German, because what you're calling English is a combination of different words that forms this dialect, because the words are taken from different languages or other dialects. So French, German, Yiddish, many words are taken to form what you're calling English today. And even with English, you look at a word in the etymology dictionary, it will tell you in the 5th century this word was this word was that, you see. So I've gone in a lot with the language one, but that's how he's able to go backwards and find the origins of where the first writing of that word was. Peace, love, Wu-Sabat. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, Keon, thank you. Maria, actually, thank you for reminding me. So, yeah, how are we doing on that Christmas video? I just got a message saying thanks for doing the one on the holidays. We got another one coming for you, man. You know, we're busy. We're always working, and we need your support to keep going, because it's important that the truth gets out. And yeah, I'm just gonna see how is it doing?
17K in one day.
17,000 views in one day. That's amazing. And if you all haven't seen it, go and see it, like it, share it. You know, get us, because it's all about the world we live in now with the algorithms. It's all about you guys sharing, liking, subscribing. That helps us to reach more people. Okay, let's keep going. Yes, he just said, Keon just said, thanks for doing a video on these holidays. No problem, man. Appreciate love. Next question. I understand we are being watched, but why are we being gang stalked? 25 cars and government. I'm confused. Yeah, I mean, there's always an excessive use of force. But ultimately, remember, it's to do with programming. If they make an example of someone in a very, what's the word I'm looking for? In a way that will put fear in other people, then you're not going to want to attempt to even, that's what I was saying about freedom of speech. You say you can speak freely, but then when you do, and you say what they don't want you to say, then all of a sudden, freedom of speech goes out the door. And so what you're saying, I can speak, but only to the limit of what I can say based on what you say is a limit. And it's like, the question comes up, who polices the police? Because some people will abuse their power. And if there's institutionalized racism, for example, or there's a culture of, you know, people getting away with things, then you have to say, is there an agenda behind it? So it's a matter of, you know, like in the case of the master teacher, he didn't commit any crimes, even with the ones they lied and said he did, where he got a sentence that people who have committed worse crimes, not that he did commit a crime, I'm just showing you how the injustice that can be done when you have, they say power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, something like that, meaning that people will abuse their power. You know, you have people that wear a uniform, and because of that uniform, it becomes a mental uniform where they forget that they're talking to human beings or other people, or they will be given instructions to go and do something which mentally doesn't make sense, emotionally, spiritually might not make sense to them. But because they're in a uniform and they're going to get paid, you know, they will follow instructions and do something that goes against their natural being. And then later on they may regret it. I'm saying that to say, for example, people that are in the army or whatever and go to war and maybe do things and follow orders, they come back home and they suffer from PTSD, PSTD, is that right? PTSD, thank you. Post-traumatic stress disorder, that's the one, thank you. And you know, they can't sleep at night, and their loved ones have to be careful because they can feel like they're still in the war zone and can get up and strangle them or try and do, you know. So yeah, it's important, like you say, like when you're dealing with love and unity and peace, then they don't feel threatened, you know. So you have to understand and know when it's like, okay, you know the nature of a tiger or a lion, right? Would you go into its cage knowing its nature? No, you wouldn't. So you have to really know how to deal with people's natures and stay away from them, because propaganda is real. This is why, you know, when you get pulled over or you get stopped by, you know, law enforcement, what you do is, if you start acting in a stereotypical way, aggressively or whatever, you're just fueling. But if you're compliant and know your rights and speak politely, and you know that they're afraid, they think you might be carrying a weapon because this is programming, stereotype. You can keep your hands where they can be seen and visible, and your car is littered to the point where there's nothing to fear. But if you start acting up, and there could be, you know, a situation where people get unalive for no reason. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I answered that already. I don't know why I normally have this energy flowing in my head towards my forehead. Any idea why I am feeling that? Yes, this is why we're saying studying, learning about your being. You have energy centers and you can move that energy, all right, in terms of what people refer to as the chakras. And the one that you're talking about deals with your pineal gland or your third eye, as some people refer to it, opening. So the more you are aware, the more you know. This is why we say study the scrolls by Pana Babyanun, because you get to learn about your physical body, your spiritual body, you know, your plasmatic body, your ethereal body, your soul being, your mental being, which are all part of you. Is that cool? Okay. Rahubat Terry again. What's your question, please?
Yes, second. Just a quick question. Now, regarding suffering and our spiritual life. So does it come as a way of our pre-incarnative choice, or maybe it's a way of nature trying to bring us to remember our true nature? So like, what's the concept of suffering and our spiritual growth?
Yes, I got a question. Excellent question. Okay, remember what I said about the English language? Suffering or suffered, or because they say, people say in the past tense, but it's how you view things. It does relate to what you said. Your previous incarnation may mean that you did something, or you were involved in something, or a part of something, which you're now coming back, they call it karma, coming back to kind of like settle that. I've explained in previous videos before that, let's say, for example, you committed a murder, not in self-defense or whatever, like there are things you do unintentionally and there are things you do intentionally. But if you did something like that, you would have to come back and experience how others suffered based on your action. And not only, you know, it might be like the family of that person, if it was a person. And so you would experience everything each person in that family went through, so that you can learn the gravity of your action. And this is why we say, even unaliving yourself, it's not a way out, because that's one of the worst things you can do. So you can and then you can come back and have an even worse experience. So it's partly due to maybe previous incarnations. It's also can be looked at as grace. It's a learning curve. It's like preparing you for something which might be more challenging. Yeah, so it's like, for example, if you're gonna have to, this is a simple example, but if you were gonna have to lift a really heavy weight in your next process of evolution, you may incarnate now to train and build your muscles and learn how. That's a kind of silly example because you can't use that can't use a skin suit. But I'm just trying to say some things you're going through are to teach you, and spirituality or higher consciousness does come with, it's like a school of learning, but it does come with what people will consider suffering. This is where you get trials and tribulations to receive the crown of life, to be one of the chosen, to be the 144,000, etc., etc. Like it's taught. And the term that normally comes to mind as well is many are called, few are chosen. So to make the grade, it's like if you're trying to get the best, the elite, you're going to give people an exam, a test, and those who get A are going to be, or A plus, they're going to be top. So you want the elite, you want the best. So this is also, it's the way you look at things. Some people look at life like a suffering. Oh my God, this is that. And others look at it like a challenge and a learning process. And every situation you find yourself in, you look at it and you look at it from the point of view of, for every disappointment, there's a blessing, So it depends on your outlook, and that also relates to when you look at things like if there's water in a glass in the midpoint, you can say the glass is half empty, or you can say the glass is half full. So it's about perspective and your attitude, your mental attitude to how you deal with things. And you're going to always have people who are lower vibration and those who are higher vibration. So this is where you have to learn who to be around. Some you need to go down so you can pull them up and make sure they don't pull you down. So there's also that, you have to discern how far you're willing to go. To show a shook doesn't mean you have to, be abused. You can show a shook from a distance. So if someone is constantly abusing you and, you don't need to be around them, or if their energy is constantly, they have to change that and raise their vibration to meet up with yours. Because one is always taking and one is always giving. One is always losing and, one is always gaining. So it's about knowing where to be. So when you start transforming into Wu-Sabat, like for example, now we're in this festive season that people are eating so much food and, and if you were partaking of that for many, many years, it's going to feel a bit odd now where you say, I'm not eating certain things, or I'm not partaking or participating in certain things. And it could be isolating, and it could be like, you're on your own. So that journey, sometimes it's not easy, but the rewards are going to be worth it. And you have to go through that, in quotes, what you're calling suffering, but you don't have to look at it like that, as suffering. So yeah, it's about mental attitude, because sometimes you can put two people in the same situation and their mind will make them behave differently. For example, if you're stuck in a lift, right, for a long period of time, or you're in a position like COVID time where people they weren't used to certain things, like being in solitude for a long period of time because they can't come out of their house. So they thought, or in a prison or in a lift or in a caged place. If you're not strong mentally, you will start to freak out after a while, because you can feel claustrophobic. You feel like, you can't move around. You can't do what you used to do. You can't, eat. And then you have somebody else and they will just sit down and go, what can I utilize this time to do? And they might start training, doing press-ups, doing exercise, focusing, on their mind. So it's all about perspective and how you look at things. Yeah, Marami is saying, who was Elijah the Tishbite? Before I come to that one, Elijah the Tishbite was Elijah that was wandering from place to place. Yeah, that's biblical again, so I don't want to really get, but the Elijah that you need to be really concerned about was Elijah Muhammad, who was the Elijah to usher in this person that was going to come after him, being part of Abyanun, Dr. Malachi Z. York. So we have a book called From Elijah to Malachi, yeah? And this Malachi is Malachi York, and it's the book of Malachi version 4:2, talking about he's coming with the Son of Righteousness, which brings me to a very important point. Today they were talking about the launch of, well, this probe called Parker that NASA have sent up to go and monitor the sun. Well, it's the first probe to get the closest to the sun, you know, to the corona, and able to receive information, because remember that the sun is what gives life on this planet, and without the sun there would be no life. So stars are suns and suns are stars, as you would know from our studies. And so they want to know what is in the center of the sun, or where did the sun come from. So by gathering information, they will be able to know, because remember, you're receiving information from the sun by way of this quote I just mentioned in Malachi chapter 4 verse 2, which is dealing with the Son of Righteousness, and it literally spells it as S-U-N. And when this being comes with the Son of Righteousness, which is the sun cycle that we're in, more energy that's going to be coming from the sun to this planet is going to affect people. This is why raising your vibration and your consciousness is important, because outformation comes from out there in, and people that lack melanin can get skin cancer, and this started happening with the ozone layer. Now you're hearing about global warming, etc., etc. This is all dealing with the heat that's coming from the sun, and it's going to get more and more intense. So they're sending probes because they're obviously seeing the effects that it's having on the planet. And obviously with other things happening, you're going to get tornadoes, earthquakes, tsunamis. You know, a lot of stuff is going on right now where Mother Nature is also shifting. We went through the dimensional shift in 2012, and it's changing. And we are part of that nature and part of it, so we're changing. So you have to be in tune with it. This is why we have our tones of vibration in terms of F, A, and C. The A is your body, obviously, and the F is in tune with nature, with planet Mother Earth, and then you have the C dealing with beyond or outside, dealing with the cosmos, tuning in with the sun. And this sun is bringing healing to the planet, because a lot of infestation have to go. It's eradicating. We say man, the man that is infesting the planet with chaos, disease, wars, all of the stuff that makes the planet sick and in turn makes us sick, that's termed as manifestation. So that the planet is rejuvenating and healing itself by way of the sun, and so you have to be prepared for that. All right, remember to call in. You can ring 0753 996 3882. That's from outside the UK. You'd put the +44 in front, then 753 996 382. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Yes, everyone, hit the like button, please. Okay, what are your thoughts on Ashana Dean? That name does ring a bell. I'm not too familiar though. Ashana Dean. I think I did look at that before. Okay, I mean, yeah, I do know who that is now. You've shown me. I mean, there are lots of people on the planet. The awakening is worldwide, and it's not based on just, you know, like I said, race and all of that. There are different races that are also tuning in. And there are different extraterrestrials that have seed here on the planet. And some are agreeable, some are disagreeable. And, you know, there are many who are also trying to wake up people, because it's about humanity. It's about us upgrading as a whole anyway, because when you're dealing with becoming a part of the intergalactical community or the intergalactic community, it's not just like we're focused on one planet with the different continents and the different sovereign nations that have differences, and then they fight and kill each other and use, you know, weapons of mass destruction and all that kind of stuff. When you elevate, you start to look at things from a different trajectory, you know, so you don't just think about, it's like people can go as far as just be so selfish and focus on just themselves, not even the planet or the country, or, you know, but when you're looking at it from a bigger perspective, where you're looking at our planet and other planets and the solar system and the galaxy and the universe and other universes, you realize that something that you might think is insignificant can have a massive or detrimental effect on other planets, on other galaxies. So to join the galactic community, you have to think beyond the planet. And extraterrestrials that come here and watch what primitive man with the lower consciousness is doing to destroy the planet, they're like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I like your questions in the polls. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a trick question though, because never a straight answer, I would say, mate. But the real one is obviously National Aeronautics and Space Admin. But yeah, are they telling you the truth or are they not? How would you know? How would you really know if we didn't have Pana Babyanun from another planet to come and tell us all these things? And he always tells us things way in advance and before they happen anyway. So he, you know, he's here to help, and many other beings are also here helping and working to awaken humanity. Do you think that severe autism is a spiritual consequence? That's the thing. Most things that happen to you in the physical have a connection to your spiritual being. And most of the time, before you're sick physically, it's because there's some kind of distortion or energy balance or something going on with your spiritual being, or, you know, other parts like your mental being. Because the mind, if the mind is sick, your body will be sick. So yes, it has a relation with that, and with, you know, and most physical ailments or sickness or disease is down to sometimes the things you do. So if you don't think properly, you're not going to do the right thing. That's going to affect your being, and then you're going to result in something like, for example, you know, I've known people, and I'm sure many people know people in their lives, yeah, who didn't like drinking water. They would drink like cans of sodas all day long, or I actually knew a few people that did this, and they just didn't like drinking water. Got dehydrated, got sick, and, you know, because the fact that the water should help you replenish, cleanse, you know, I'm just saying, like, so if you're not thinking right, you think I'm going to just drink sodas all the time, then that will have an effect on your physical. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, can someone tell me what Rahubat means? That's our language for greetings. Rahub, greet, and Rahubat, greet-ins, because the plural is the AAT, at. And it depends on the word and the form, because obviously you can have like nouns, verbs, etc. that would change based on what it is. So, you know, yeah, but study the language. We have language on Telegram group. Join our group. We give you all the links to the language classes. I think there's one tonight. There are always language groups and lessons going on. We have the books you can study because it's designed to raise your vibration, the language. So I'm assuming it's a form of greeting. However, I'd like to know the actual meaning. Yes, it means greetings. All right, let's keep going. The light. Okay, that's you.
This person, they said, please answer my question about if the Pleiadians use their DNA to develop the Adamites/humans, then does that contradict the creation story of the Bible?
But yeah, I mean, the thing about the word "the" is, like I keep saying, it's a definite article, and it makes it sound like there's only one of it. When you say the Bible, everyone just think there's one Bible, but there are many Bibles and many stories, creation stories. It's not just the King James version of the Bible. And then when you go into where that comes from, you find out that it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. So when we're saying the creation story, or when we're saying the creation of man or Adam, there are different creation stories, different what people are calling Adams, and it becomes singular instead of plural, like Adamites instead of Adam. So when he says, create he them, let us create man in our image, you can hear it's plural. So depending on which Adam you think you're talking about, we have, the master teacher has got a scroll called The Beginning, right? Which really goes into this whole different Adams and creation of different beings. Then you have extraterrestrials that are grafting and carrying out experiments. So it is a contradiction, because when you're starting off in, say, the Bible, as you put it, in Genesis, and it's talking about the creation of Adam, what people are not realizing is that that's not the beginning of the creation of everyone and everything, because it's a story that started when an accident took place, and that accident was a meteorite hitting the planet 2,250,000 years ago. That meteorite caused a dust cloud. That dust cloud surrounded the planet Earth, and it was blocking the sun rays, which, as we said before, give life to beings on this planet. And that doesn't mean that the moon and the stars and the millions of stars prior to that incident weren't already there. They were, and beings existed in different galaxies way before that. And so that story starting off, and that's what the word, in the word Genesis, they will tell you the beginning when they try and use English and to confuse you, but it's not the beginning. And the real word is bara, barashith in Hebrew. The word bara means to create or to do again, to refill, repopulate. That's why it says, you know, to be fruitful and multiply. Yeah, that's repopulation, because without the sun, unless you knew how to go like on the water to survive, or into some caves and caverns, you wouldn't survive. So what happened is Enki was terraforming the planet, and he was clearing away the dust cloud to allow the sun rays to come back through again and then repair the damage that was done. And they had to bring things from other planets, their home planets, because remember, Nibiru is a big, massive planet. So they brought trees, insects, and we did a video on bees being aliens or extraterrestrials, more, you know, accurately. And they brought trees, they brought, you know, all sorts of things to terraform the planet, which is why a lot of people get allergies and, you know, and others don't, because it affects them. But we got another caller, so I hope that helps. So let me take this call. Rahubat, greetings. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Adam.
Okay, hi Adam. Rahubat, how are you? And what's your question?
I don't have really a question. I just wanted to tell you that it's nice to see you on a daily basis. I've been through here like 30 years in this world.
Yes.
You know, I did my research. I've been through everything that I can be. And it's nice to see that old guys can say something that is still true. But for myself, I cannot say nothing on this world, because what to say? you will be captured or something like that. I don't want to be in trouble. I've been through everything that I can be, so
Right.
I just live by day. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. What I would say to that, appreciate love your comments, is that your potential, you still have a lot to give and share with somebody like yourself who's been through a lot, has a lot of experiences. You know, it's good to share with others because, you know, it's good to, because sometimes, like I said at the beginning, you know, you learn things and know things by evidence, reason, and experience. And experience is normally one of the best teachers. And when you've been through so much, you can help others that may be going through the, you know, similar thing that you've already been through. So, you know, you can still help and, you know, spread the word, as you say, with what we're doing. Can you put WhatsApp link to make it easier? Cool. What?
They couldn't get through.
Oh, to get through. Okay. Okay. That same question. Why did Elijah the Tishbite get taken to heaven in a burning chariot and will help return? That burning chariot that you're referring to was a craft. This is what we're saying, that the language that's used in the, you know, in the biblical stories is talking about, yeah, Enoch was also taken. So this is what we're saying, that you can be picked up by a craft and taken away to these places that, you know, we're talking about other places, other constellations, other planets, other crafts, physically, yeah, like, you know, that happened with Adapha, or what we call Enoch. But you can also transform yourself into a light being and also leave. But that's obviously takes a lot of knowledge and skill and knowing how to transform and transfigure, you know, your molecules and your atoms and things like that. Or you cross over when you are unhealthy, or you go before your time based on the fact that you may not have lived the way you're supposed to live, or, you know, through accidents and things like that, where again you can go and come back. And if you haven't reached, or if you've reached the last time for you to come back, then you don't come back, but you don't progress either. So you just become energy that is trapped at a particular level. Right, let's keep going. The rest of the question was cut, so it just says, and will help return. It didn't really say help return what. Okay, another one. And can you tell me? Can you tell me they are gang stalking? They don't go to work because who wears mini clothes to go to work, and who wears mini clothes in the winter? That's why it's obvious. Yeah, there's a lot of gang stalking, and as I was saying to another person we did a one-to-one with, you know, this, they show you this in the movie The Matrix with Agent Smith. Agent Smith can appear, transform, and come in any shape or form to, yeah, gang stalk you. Sometimes they're monitoring and doing some kind of investigation. Oh, get taken to heaven in burning chariot and will help. Okay, that's the same question. Okay, we got another caller. Rahul back. Rahul back, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question?
Hello, Father. My name is Vishal. I live down in Toronto. I just wanted to call you, say happy holidays.
Okay, Rahul back.
Yeah.
Do you have...
And if there's one piece of advice you can give, like all of us, like on like elevation, you know, like practices like not giving into lust, instant gratification, and cultivating our sexual energy for like manifestation, you know, what is like, how can we overcome the temptation, you know?
Yeah, thank you. Let me answer that for you. So You see, the main thing is really one word, is discipline. And to be disciplined, you have to be a disciple. That's kind of where the word comes from anyway. A disciple is a student. That's what the word really means, to be a student. Because many of your great people in history, in religion, in all the books in the world, they recognize that if a person does not listen, they can't be taught. So you have to have a listening ear and be attentive. And like we always say, you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, 1 nose, which means that your designer wanted you to hear twice as much and see twice as much as you talk. So some people don't nurture these skills of being able to humble themselves when they're in front of someone else that is a higher being that has knowledge and information that they don't or experience. And so the first thing is to be able to humble yourself. Humbling and submitting is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that you're any less than anyone else. It just means that for the purposes of you receiving, because as I said before, you transmit and you receive. And you've got to be able to listen so you can hear, pay attention, so you're seeing clearly, and then you learn and you're taught. This is why most of the people were traveling to Egypt to sit amongst the masters to be taught. And if you're a person that is constantly talking, egotistical, full of pride, you don't want to hear, you're speaking when someone else is speaking, then you're missing the opportunity of listening. And there are practices such as meditation where you sit in silence and focus on the mind to subdue it, not in an aggressive way, but, kind of like in union with it. And so you can receive. Remember I said before that the mind is where you tap into the mental reservoir and you meet beings that are higher in vibration, that can maybe, manifest themselves, teach you things. So the master teacher, Partner Babylon, is one such being. In fact, as the 19th elder and sitting in the 24th seat in this new 24,000 year cycle, has come with 76 trillion years of knowledge, and humanity can really benefit from it. We've explained he's a reincarnation of Tahuti, the great scribe, the one that wrote most of the knowledge on the planet. And he's trying to teach you and upgrade you and raise you up in degrees. But because you have been in a situation of chaos and haven't been taught how to be a good student or a good disciple, you don't want to hear or don't want to listen, or you think you know it all, or you're just following something else, and it's like you're doing yourself a disservice. So that's a great question. The first thing is to learn, study, and then once you acquire the knowledge, the next best thing is to put it into practice, because you're not taught something just for the sake of it. And then once you raise yourself, you can help raise others. That's what he's doing as a supreme being. He's raising other beings to become supreme beings. And you only do that by way of being a good student. And then each one teach one. I'm a student of the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York. And that's my passion. That's the product of what he has done for me and millions of others. So that's the best I can give you right now, is to put Wu-Sabat into practice, okay? We've got another caller, Rahubat. Caller, where are you calling from? What's your name? What's your question, please?
Hi, it's a pleasure to finally be online. I'm so grateful to hear your voice. I am John from Lesotho.
Hey,
And I have
Rahubat.
2 questions.
Sure. Go ahead. Rahubat,
The
thank you
first
for your
question I
kind
would like
words.
to know is when a person gets out of the earth, how do these people know if, I mean, the way, even the way they show the Big Bang, it's as if they are looking at it from a vertical point of view. And it's as if we are at the edge of the universe. But like, if you were to get out of the earth, how would you know what's up and what's down, what's left, what's right? And why is it only as if it's one direction? Like how?
Yeah. Sorry, just remind me of the first part of your question because you said something that was important before I get to that last part.
Oh, sorry, I'm just breaking up a little bit. But my question is, how do all these scientists always show us images of, even from the Big Bang itself? It's
Yes,
as if
I got you now.
they
Yeah.
show us in a vertical way, like. And how would you know, like, if you get out of the atmosphere of the Earth and you're in space, how would you know what's left and what's right and what's horizontal? Like,
Yeah.
and then they just always show us one direction of as if where we came and where we are, and it's as if the Earth is now at the edge of the universe and the Big Bang happened. Like it's almost like a straight line.
Got you. Right. So
And to me, it never made sense.
sure. The first thing is that people that are telling you this don't actually know, and that's why it's confusing and misinformation. And even Darwin and the theory of evolution, it got rejected because there are parts of it that don't make sense, and like the missing links and things like that. The reality, as I said, is that there are higher beings and higher intelligence that have restricted beings, because Earth is like a prison, for lack of a better word. It's, you're quarantined to the prison, to the Earth, and you can only go so far out. Even what they're calling space, how can they say they're at the edge of space when they can never get to the edge of space? And it depends on, like you're saying, like if you're in the Earth's atmosphere, it's different to when you come out of the Earth atmosphere. And then, as you say, this is why up and down doesn't make sense, because when people say heaven is up and they point up or look up, and based on where you're standing, like if you think about the globe, let's say you're standing here and you're saying Earth is up. If you're on the other side of the planet, you're facing downwards. So up would be that way to you. And if you're to this side, to the right, then you're standing there. Or remember, this is dealing with gravity holding you down. So up is going to be that way. And if you're on the left-hand side, up is that way. So this up and down doesn't make sense because, like you say, everything is taught to you in a linear fashion. Like things started here and they're moving that way. And this is where the notion of the beginning and the end, or alpha and omega, comes in, because they're saying to you there's a beginning and there is an end. But we know that, how can you say there is an end if you've never got to the end in anything? Like even if you look at numbers, they get to 9 and then they just go 999, or 9 to the 9 power of 9. That's the end, and they will say infinity. And that's playing with your mind, because when you start to look at things, it doesn't add up. So even the rocket man was saying, the one that launches rockets and they can only go so far and come back. And when people look at time, matter and space, they think they're separate, but they're not. They actually work in conjunction, So this is what we call the SMAT circle, because you're looking at, time, matter and space are a union, they work together. But our ancestors, who are beyond the realms and live outside of what, they know how it came about. And we are known as ontologists because we've been around from the beginning. Even this is why when I quote the book of Revelations, like 3:14, when it's telling you that, Atum watched the beginnings of the creation of God, because God was a creation by the person who wrote the book and called it, or that being God, you see. So you're asking a really good question that is based on the fact that beings are limited based on their development and their knowledge of, even when you say the universe, that's as far as they tell you. But now people are starting to talk about the multiverses, the multiverse. So that means more than one. Multi means more than one universe. And now it's even omniverse. And the high intelligence beings I have to teach you, tell you, come from and defy what you call gravity and do things that you think can't be done. And that's because they've evolved to a point where, like I keep saying, they're 100,000 million years ahead of you in technology. So you can never defeat it, and they have rules and limitations and everything, which the master teacher is teaching us. But we have to start asking questions about those things. We keep asking questions about Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and religion, which is keeping you down in terms of your intellect and keeping you down in terms of vibration. So we have to start doing these things like meditation, levitation, teleportation, talking about universes and talking about intergalactic beings and going further and learning more. And so that's a great question. So that's why they don't really know the answers. Partner Babyanun does. That's why he was like, ask me anything, and instead of giving him the platform and the opportunity to help, you have to remember that you have beings on this planet that they want to keep you down. They don't want you to know, because then they play God over you. And this is what was going on in the Bible and the biblical story. And that got exposed by who they termed the serpent. And they said it was a snake, but we know it wasn't that. It was a person speaking, It was actually people. You had Ningishzida, you had Tahuti, so yeah, I hope that's answered that question. Did Anu have parents? I just know his sons, Enlil and Enki. Who is his parent? Yeah, his parents are Anshar and Kisha. And again, when we say Anu, this singularity thing is something that limits us as well, because we always have to think of one, the devil, God, the beginning of the universe with the Big Bang. But the question is, what caused the bang? And these are the questions we need to ask. And so when you say Anu, people think one person, but there were many Anus. And if you watch our video on the Anunnaki, we explain that. The Anu that everybody talks about that we see in the holy tablets is the one that came and was physical. But there were 9, he was the 9th Anu. There were other Anus before him, because Anu is a title, meaning the most high, the person that is at that highest position at that point. And I use the example of the prime ministers, the presidents, kings. These are people that in their jurisdiction, they've reached the highest office. Like now, Trump is at the highest level of the United States government as president to be, so that would be the same as saying Anu, or the Most High. And so people just think of one. The singularity of one being is monotheistic. This is what the monotheistic religions are about, trying to get you to think in one, in mono, when you can think in stereo and beyond. So we have to remember that, Anu is a person. He had parents. His parents, to answer your question again, is Ansha and Kisha. They're actually in our books, and you can see their pictures. What is the real purpose of meditation? We answered that in the Ask Us 3 Questions video. Purpose of meditation is to connect you. Middle, is to do with that interface I spoke about before, where you are down here, you have beings up there, where they say God, angels, God, Allah, Yahweh, or Etherians, in our case, the highest, the overseers, or the Natharu, and you have to connect with them by way of meditation, because you, and beings on other realms, not just them. So you might have ancestors, parents that have crossed over and they're on higher realms. And meditation is the ability to focus and utilize that interface of your mind, but then you can get to a point where you transcend people, places and things. And you won't know that because you're no longer in the physical body. So you have to utilize the astral body, or the body that is not utilizing the physical atoms that are held together here on this three-dimensional plane, you see. So purpose of meditation is to teach you and how you learn to access that realm, that world, that, you know, that those different levels, right?
TBJ just said $5.
Mrs. TBJ, I appreciate love your donation. You didn't even ask a question. That's just love, just showing some love. Thank you, thank you. All right, we say Tawu Tat.
I've got a couple for you if you want.
Okay. Okay, go on then.
Could you please ask this for me? He mentioned about beings which fail to elevate and get trapped. Do those beings remain in that state for eternity, or maybe there are beings which are sent to help them, as the master teacher came to elevate us?
Yes, good question. It depends on what level and what being we're talking about. This is why we constantly emphasize about your ancestors and people in your lineage that have crossed over and you're connected to them, and that help you're talking about is actually you, because they are helping you to help them. It's a two-way thing. So it's like we say, each one teach one. They're trying to navigate, guide you onto the right path to be able to elevate yourself so that you can commune and connect with them, be able to, be able to help them. And when you cross over, then you're, able to help them. So it is that. And then you also have beings that are not able to go, anywhere, like how most people on here who have had enough of this place and they're like, I don't want to come back here this time when I leave. I've had enough. They've burnt out the desire for this place. And so, you know, they will leave and don't come back. And then you have others that like are quarantined here. They don't even have any need for any of this. They think all the stuff we talk about is just goobly-gook, right? They just want to do whatever they do, you know, have a a preoccupation with, say, sports, just going to work. They love the physical stuff, you know, material things, money, cars. They don't really have any need to them for spirituality. And so unless they wake up, they actually, what's the word, bound here. They're bound. They don't really elevate to any levels. And you have those who are just roaming. You call them disembodied, you know, spirits that are just roaming around. And this is where we go into the energy realm, because you can watch movies like Fallen, you can watch Ghost Town, you can watch, there are a few movies, Ghost, yeah, watch Ghost. There are many movies that tell this story, and they're waiting for someone to come and help them move on, or they may be trapped here and they just roam around. And that energy can come in contact with you at any time, come into your environment. So this is where we get into some of the practices like we've mentioned before, putting like mirrors facing outwards, putting salt around and doing certain spiritual works and making sure that your environment is conducive where you're not being attacked from those realms, you see. So spiritual work is not just simple. There are levels to it. So yes, couple of questions here. So yeah, where were we? Yeah, I like that, Vishal. Umadas, knowledge, application, and optimization. Yes, you get the knowledge, you apply it, you constantly optimize it to perform even better for you. So I like that, knowledge, application, optimization. Yanko, where is Wu-Sabat in New York City? You said that? Okay, Bushwick Avenue. Okay.
One of the callers had a question, and this is their second question. They said, "Thank you. I was listening.
Yeah.
So information or knowledge is power." My second question was, I have sort of shifted into another reality. My eyes just saw two people sitting down having a conversation. I could not understand what they were saying because I didn't know the language. It lasted about 2 minutes. Any explanation? I was wide awake.
Cool. What was the first part?
The first part, he was just saying thank you for the answer. So knowledge is power.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that. That's what I was trying to. Yeah, knowledge is not power. Let me go back to that brother that just said it's knowledge, then the application of the knowledge, that is power. So many people have knowledge, and knowledge alone is not power. You can know everything in the world, but if you don't utilize it or use it properly, then that's not powerful. So I just wanted to touch on that. And the second part, I'm glad you're saying this, because it's like we keep telling people there are different dimensions, and you can raise yourself to be able to manifest beings or temporarily step into different dimensions. You know, dimensions are just different levels of vibration, where just the same way we're in this physical material plane vibrating on particular frequencies, you can go to another realm where everything exists in their world the same way as we are here, and they carry on with whatever they do and how they live in that realm. And you might temporarily just go into that dimension for a second and come back, because you don't really know yet the science or understand how to do it at will. Because just like the higher senses that we have, telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, and psychometry, even though you don't know how to do it at will constantly, like you can't mind communicate with somebody all the time unless you and that person have developed together at a level where you do it frequently. You will only do it randomly. You know, you think about someone and they call you. So I'm saying that when you learn about your being in terms of what you really are, is held together by atoms and molecules and at different density levels. So if you know how to tune in to turn yourself or transfigure yourself, you can do that. Like the master has been teaching us for years, you can actually turn yourself inside out and become a light being and then travel. So I'm saying don't be freaked out. Obviously, not every situation is going to be authentic. If people may be taking substances or getting involved with all kinds of things that they have illusions. You know, people take psychedelic drugs and all kinds of things, ayahuasca, they do different things, and you will see things. Some people can mentally project things for themselves because you have images and pictures that you've stored from watching movies, TV, all your life, and you can, you know, create pictures and see things. This is what illusionists are able to do that with crowds, you see. So we have a scroll called projection and reflection that would also help in that. So don't be alarmed when you step into different dimensions or see different things or your eyes are open to these dimensions. Hey, Rahubat, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question, please?
Rahubat Square, how you doing? This is Brother Leon calling you from Texas.
Yeah, that's another familiar voice, Leon. What's happening? Rahubat.
How you doing? I have a question for that's only becoming relevant since the sightings of these so-called drones on the east coast of the United States lately. A little over 30 days ago, my daughter and I was in one of these box stores here in Texas, and I was approached by this older white gentleman. I think he was about late 60s, maybe early 70s, and the reason why I'm asking this question is because as he was talking, he was wearing a Vietnam Army hat on. And I was looking at the hat, and as I was thinking, he started responding to the questions. And one of the questions I asked was, what the heck are you doing in the military back in Vietnam? And he said, well, yeah, I was in Vietnam, and I was flying a helicopter. We was transporting special forces. And, you know, we picked up everybody from everywhere. And I was like, yeah, but I'm saying this in my head. I know the conditions for African Americans in Vietnam. And then he responded with, well, you know, we really didn't care who we picked up. We picked up anyone, regardless of race. And this conversation continued on, and it didn't really dawn on me until after these sightings. And I recall something that you stated, that they're everywhere, they dress and look like us, and many of them have the talents and the technology to read your thoughts. And just while I was about to, you know, get out of the conversation, because we were getting a little prolonged, I said to myself, man, I wish my daughter would tell me that, you know, hey, Dad, I need you to do something so we can get out of here. We're busy. He said, well, I don't want to keep you. I know you're busy, so we'll let you go.
Yeah.
Every time I was about to say something, he responded to that question. So a lot of the things, and I, like you say, ask you anything, and the master teacher always says, don't believe me, go check it out and go research for yourself. So for those of you out there listening that have experienced anything like that, if y'all don't believe that the master teacher is who he is, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm going to get off and let you respond.
Thank you.
You have a great day.
You too. All right. That's another thing. You see how English is crazy. I know what my brother means, but how can you have a day? How can I give you a day? Have an apple. Have a great day. It's like English is messed up. But yeah, I mean, the master said to us many years ago, the master teacher, that is, Partner Babyanun. You notice, this is another thing. When I say the master teacher, I'm always mindful to say, even when I'm texting, I say the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, or the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Z. York / Partner Babyanun, because people can be confused and say the master teacher or the master. And then you'll immediately have those people that say, oh, I'm not a slave to any master. He's not the master. Like, finish the sentence, the master teacher. Then people are like, there's other master teachers. So I have to be very specific when I address, you know, the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z. York, because that gives you exactly who we're talking about. But he told us many years ago that what people call spirituality, it's like as natural in their environment as things are natural to us here. So beings that are on these vibrations, on these realms, it's normal to them. Like if they use telepathy in their world, it's normal. That's all they do. So we're learning to become our higher self. And so yes, there are beings who are here walking amongst us that have these abilities, but there are also intergalactical laws that are set and policed by the Galactical Federation, because that federation is like having here the United Nations, where you have representatives from different galaxies that meet, discuss issues to do with different galaxies and how they can affect the universe and other universes, etc. So there are so many beings, and these galactical laws, they're forbidden to do certain things. You know, just like here, we have the penal system and the policing and the law enforcement, where you can't just do anything. And if you do, there are consequences where, you know, you get arrested and go through the judicial system, etc., etc. So some of these beings are not allowed to interfere with our natural evolution, and some are allowed to help us, but they help us to help ourselves, you know. So this is what's happening. So don't be surprised. He said when things start happening, like you've seen into dimensions, or you're communicating mind to mind, or you're visiting other realms, or traveling to other realms in what you're calling sleep, and you're starting to awaken the real you, the real being. So this is what's happening. And once you are, you put it to the test, you know, like you do things, and you just like all throughout these last couple of days, myself and my brother King here, we were like like we did another video yesterday, which you know, will be coming out soon. And the brother that I did it with, he was like, King was giving him a present, you know, being such a kind-natured person that he is. He was going to buy him a book, and he said, I want a book that explains about Sirius. So I went upstairs and I was looking through the books, and I just picked the book, turned to the page, and it was on Sirius. And I said, well, here you go. And it happened again today, and even just now we were coming to do this show and this episode, and we were talking about, you know, something, and then we came, and the question that came up was on that. So you're starting to do these things, especially when you're amongst people who are on that same vibration and frequency, you know, because once you resonate on a particular vibration and frequency, then you're going to meet people on that vibration. Let me just...
Donation?
Okay, that's Julian, yeah? Yeah, appreciate love, Julian. That's from the heart, and we appreciate love your donation. Yeah, so that question was Atlantis and Egypt destroyed by the ones that were created in the Hermetica. We actually have an actual fact called Atlantis. Sorry, Pataruk called Atlantis that goes into great detail. It's very tiny, but very impactful in the information. Yes, there are now conflicts going on, and yeah, many parts were destroyed due to that, and it sank basically. And yeah, so you're right for that question. All right, let's get back to. I've lost the questions. Trying to find the questions. Is that it? Okay, there we go. Right, there was a question I saw that I want to address. Because I don't want it, oh, here you go. I don't want you to think we're ignoring you. Islam a boy. Okay, I missed it. Oh yeah, he said God, I don't know. He said something, he's talking a lot, so I want to address what he says. Obviously, he's a Muslim, because the way you're speaking, your tone, energy is not right. He says, I can't find where he started from.
Allah caused the bang?
No, before that I saw something I wanted to.
Islam is the truth, Aki.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're for Islam and you know you're not open to learn, this is what I was saying about. Then why would you come on a platform like this then, other than to cause distraction? You know, go to the mosque or something. Go and, you know, read the Quran, do whatever you want to do in Islam. Don't come on our platform and try and tell us about what we're teaching. And you're of course you're going to reference your God and your, you know, the Quran. That's like, without saying, it's typical. You know, there are people who have studied Islam. You can see we've got, you know, the Quran right here. So if that's what you choose to do, don't try and come on here and sway other people. You can't anyway, because most people that have studied Islam know that it's not authentic like you tried to claim, and that it's less a mystery. And yes, your God is this Anunnaki, as I said, Enki and Enlil. That's what you're talking about, if you really want to, you know, go there. So we're not telling you not to follow them. Go and follow them, because that's what they teach, this type of energy and behavior. But let's move on. We're not going to feed that falsehood. But I don't want you to think that, do you know what I mean, we're ignoring you. You say things like God is God. That's not that intelligent. I mean, come on. Like, who is God? What is God? Where is he? When is he? We go in. Quran is from our creator. Yeah, your creator. Your creator is not our creator. You know, I just wanted to take a little time to deal with this, brother or sister. We just answered that on that video. Someone says, if Jesus was not born on the 25th of December, why do people celebrate Xmas on this day? Because of the technology. This is what we're saying, that if it suits a particular agenda, then people are going to do it. And that's why we've covered these, because we know that the origin of these holidays is from, you know, the pagan rituals of Wicca and they've weaved and managed to get their way into today, and people are doing things to suit the agenda of the manufacturers, selling you anything they want, making money, and so on and so on. So am I getting the information right? We only experience another realm outside of the physical body. No, you're experiencing it all the time. Just like you have multiple atmospheres in this biosphere that we live in at the same time, you see. So it's like you're experiencing the physical things, you're experiencing the things you can't see, like breathing and the air and oxygen and hydrogen, and all of these things are at the same time. Like this planet's got the seas, it's got the land, it's got the air, it's got the skies, you know, the different environments. And so you don't have to leave the physical body, but to fully experience it on a level where you're not using these senses, then that's a different level. But it's not saying you have to only experience it outside of the physical body. But the other levels where you don't need a physical body, like the mental realm, then you can experience the, okay, let me clarify that. You can experience the mental level now because you're using your mind and you're thinking and then utilizing what you're thinking here. But if you don't have a physical body, you still experience the mental realm, but it will be utilized for something else in the mental realm. So here I will be like, let's say I need to move my hand, and movement on this vibration, on this level, is different because of the environment. If I was on the water, movement's going to be different. So you have to think about the realm you're in and whether you need a physical body, you know, when you don't. I will be in London this weekend. It's possible to meet you. Of course, come to the store. We've got an address in the be in the Telegram group, so you know we can make sure we talk about it, because I may not be there. I'm not always there, but you know, sometimes I am. So yes, Chris 32420, you can. Is there a Wu-Sabat in Virginia? Again, with the question of that, oh yeah, you already answered the New York City one, but go to the website, our official website, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com. We'll put it in the chat. Go to the contact and go to stores and see if it is, because, excuse me, I don't always remember the all the locations. All right, go on then. Yeah, just read it out, please.
Right.
And I'll repeat it when you say it.
So I'll turn the mic on.
Okay.
We've got New York, New Jersey, United Kingdom, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Washington, D.C., South Carolina, Jamaica, Delaware, Barbados, Canada, and Ohio.
Yep. And there are more being added every day. Forget that, Islam boy. Study, read the scrolls. Keith Hunter, how do I become a Sabian member? And I've tried to join the Saturday questions and answer. I've got the newcomer's guide and I got the link, but was waiting for the host. Could someone please help me? There's a dedicated, thanks for reminding me, there's a dedicated WhatsApp group with the administration now in there that will deal with that. So join the Telegram group, and we'll, you know, the link will be in there for the WhatsApp group for the support in terms of onboarding for newcomers. They will walk you through everything you need to do and so forth, okay? And it also depends where you're located. So we now have a dedicated team that deals with onboarding of newcomers or people that want to join and be a part of the community. Okay, cool. That's a good point. You can know the keys to the universe, but if you don't use them, what does it matter? Absolutely. All right. You know, we're coming to like we've got like 16 minutes left. So if you haven't called in and you want to call in, remember you can. And we'll answer your question live. Just trying to find the number again. Can't remember it. Unless King, you want to, oh, here we go. From outside the UK, it's +44753 996 3882. That's +44 if you're outside the UK. If you're not, you can just dial 0753 996 3882. All right. So if you want to call in live, yeah, P-Town Prince, thank you. Supreme abundance and gratitude. Likewise to all of you who are changing your lives by way of the Master Teacher Partner Bab Yanun Dr. Malachi Z. York, by way of Wu-Sabat. So, yeah, gratitude to you guys too. There is no us without you. And if you take me and turn the M upside down, that becomes a we. And we're all powerful together. Okay, let me see if there's any more. Oh, I just see people talking. I do like the conversations in the chat, and you can see people are now addressing and dealing with nonsensical things that people are saying. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I've just read that. The light language connects to the realm we use for manifestation. Any more questions? What is your view on African spirituality, i.e. Vodum, San? Yeah, those, we cover all of that. And again, that's becoming a buzzword now, African spirituality. Like, when we say Africa or African, there are different tribes in Africa, different practices, and some people term spirituality and not, because they are influenced from other races, Europeans and all kinds of people, you know, Arabs, etc. So what people are calling Vodum or Voodoo is knowing, it's an ancient science, just like alchemy was one of our ancient sciences, you know, transferring base metals, etc. to do things. So it depends on what African spirituality you're talking about. We, of course, deal with African spirituality as the original, what people are calling Africans, or Afafreye Ka'u, or Ka, Afafreye Ka for African. And we deal with Wu-Sabat as animist, which is knowing about the nature of nature, dealing with our ancestors, dealing with reverence to nature. And so, you know, we can relate in that sense when you're saying African spirituality. But, you know, what people are calling black magic, there's different types of magic, and that's just knowing the science of how to utilize the knowledge to do things. Julian, want to give you a big up and appreciate, love your donation. Do your guys follow the 7 principles or universal laws, and is the Emerald Tablet legit? Yes, the Emerald Tablet is legit. However, just like now you have so many versions of the King James version of the Bible, and many versions of the Bible, shall I say, and it's the same when you start to talk about the Emerald Tablets and certain other writings that people have now translated. So you have fake ones and you have the original ones, and if you don't know, then you're going to say that one is fake if someone's referring to a fake one. But yes, the original one is original and real, and it is something that, you know, it's available. And when you say the 7 principles of universal law, it sounds very specific. We follow universal laws because there are more than 7, and that kind of ties into the sacred records of Tahuti, who is really the writer, as I mentioned before, of you know, many writings and scrolls, and you get that what you're calling about universal laws, etc. from that. But some of these laws, and remember that the universe is just one. We're dealing with multiverses and omniverses. So yeah, it depends where where the reference point is. Yes, again, Angela the Babe, thank you for your donation. Appreciate love to you. More power. I've watched the Santa teaching. Very, very informative. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. We're doing our best. Sometimes we have to limit the amount of information we put out because we don't want it to be too long. So we try to balance it out. But, that was a lot of information. But yes, thank you, Angela, the Babe, for your donation. Much appreciated, loved. Okay, let's see. What else we got? I'm from Barbados. Okay, Jay, before I go to that one, J-Ack or Jack, I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but do you believe on the law of attraction? We don't believe. Be like Eve, lie to Eve's children. We have to reiterate things, but I know what your question is. We don't believe, we know the law of attraction because it's dealing with vibration and frequency. And yes, that's what we teach about when we say, attract things to you. You don't need to chase things because with the right vibration, you will attract and resonate on a particular frequency. So yes, don't chase things, attract them. Amanda Chrome. I am from Barbados. I didn't know there was a community. We'll have to check that out. Yes, there's a nice community in Barbados. Yeah, definitely check that out.
Donation saying that they watched the Santa teachings 3 times.
I just went through that. Yeah, I don't know as you were coming in, but yeah, please go and share that Santa video because this is the time we're in at the moment, yeah, and it's quite appropriate for. And again, let me say something because somebody asked, "Oh, does that mean we shouldn't celebrate?" Wu-Sabat. Do you still have the calendar? Wu-Sabat, right? We are culture. We have our calendar. We are aware that we've been brought up in the West and partaking of these, as I keep saying, rituals that kind of like have their roots in Wicca or pagan rituals. So we do have our own calendar. We have our own celebrations, and what we have to do is not deprive our children. Partner Babi Anun says, I'll save this for later, but we have got our own calendar. We don't deprive the children and let them go to, say, the public schools if they're still in those schools, and other children from other races are showing off with their presence and talking about the experience they had, etc. And sorry, a call just came in on my phone, and they feel left out. So we replace all the holidays, the rituals, the pagan ones, with positive ones and teach them about them, but they also learn the truth about them, and they do get, presents, and they have fun and good memories as children. So we call that Children's Day in our culture. So it's for the children, it's for them to have fun, to have experiences, good memories, good childhood memories. So we're not saying don't do that, but be aware of what you're doing, because it's when you're not aware that, like I was saying, the subconscious is used or information is programmed. You're doing something and you don't know what you're doing. Like people say they're looking at or watching the TV when they should be looking into it to see what is being sent to program them, because that's what you do. You change channel to be channeled, and you're programmed by the programs that you're watching. So if you know this, you can censor what you take in, what you watch, what you don't allow into your being, and you can build a psychic self-defense a protection, a shield around you that you're able to see through the crap, and then you can then break it down to your children and say, look, this is why I don't want you to go trick-or-treating, because it's not a treat, because it's going to damage your teeth, because your cavities are going to suffer if you eat too much sweet, etc., etc. So we're saying we replace the negative with the positive, because there's always agreeable and disagreeable, positive energy, negative energy. So you can always replace one, transform it, because you can't destroy energy, right? So if someone sends you negative energy, what are you going to do with it? You're going to absorb it and keep it? No. You either send it back or send it somewhere else, which means you're now a part of that, because if somebody does something wrong and you know it's wrong and you don't change it, you're now party to it. So when you're raised up, you then take that energy, and the best thing to do with it is transform it. As you know, alchemy, you can transform that energy into positive and then send it out if you want to send it out, or you keep it. But in any case, you have now reversed the negative to the positive. That's what we teach, all right? I know it can be hard in practice sometimes to do that, but it is very possible. It's like someone's coming at you and you can just say a few words and change their vibration. Have you not ever seen in the movies when somebody's about to unalive themselves, jumping over a bridge or something, and you have people who have the gift of transforming them, because they're like, oh, I don't like this place, I'm going to end it all. I shouldn't really I'm not joking, I shouldn't do that. It's not really funny, but I'm just trying to give you, like, sometimes they will be at that point and someone will just come and say a few words, and you know, it's not that bad, come on, I'm sure, da 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 da. And before you know it, they have the power, they call it persuasion, and that's changing the mood that they were in. That's making them realize they can have something to live for. And then before you know it, they're off the ledge or off the edge, and they come and they go back home. So that's what I mean as an example of how you can transform negativity into positivity. Okay, let's keep going. We have 4 minutes left. Is there another one?
Yeah.
It's the same. Oh no, you're right. No. Who is it?
It's Julian. I'm asking because Thoth, who was also Hermes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I got it, yep. I'm asking because Thoth, who was also Hermes, called it the seventh. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's Tahuti. That's the reincarnation. Dr. Malachi York. That's why if you notice what he's done, he's written more books than anybody else. He's a prolific author of over 1,000 books on any subject you can think. Why do you think we're able to answer all these questions? These are questions that have been put to him, and he has written books about them. And the ones that we didn't even ask, he still wrote books about. So that's who you're talking about. And he's got a scroll called, I thought I took it out, The Sacred Wisdom of Tahuti. Yeah. And in that, he explains about these principles. So yeah, you're right, 100%. And that's who they call Thoth, yes, correct. But again, many stories become Chinese whispers. And this is another thing where, remember, people say, oh, that person didn't exist. If you belong to a particular religious organization and you all come together and accept one book and one deity, and if everybody doesn't do what you do, you're not correct, they're correct, then of course you're going to have a circumference of the information that you can say what's authentic and what's not authentic and what's real and what's not real. With Wu-Sabat, you can't play those games because we predate all of that. So we go to the original records and then show you where you came in, which is predominantly around about 6,000 years ago. So, Wu-Sabat's on a different level. In fact, we're going to address some questions in our next couple of videos that deal with, certain topics that certain people weren't able to deal with, and not mentioning no names right now, but MindLink, you could probably pick up my brainwaves if you know what I'm talking about. Who is Adamu? Pop motion. Again, please. Oh, yes. Thanks, Vishal. We kind of covered that already. Yeah, in present tense. Who is Adamu? Like, again, that's like so broad. Like, where's the reference point? Where's that coming from? If you're talking about the Bible or the Quran, that's dealing with a project called the Adamah project, where they were creating what people calling Adam. Okay. But you have to be a bit more specific because Adamu or Adama is dealing with that project of creating the Adamites, and the word Adam can also relate to the word Edom, which means red or ruddy red, blush, and that's talking about these Adamites. You know, we've run out of time, but I'm going to see if I can complete the questions that I haven't covered. Does the frequencies videos on YouTube actually work with meditation or healing certain pains within body? You know what? That's a great question. Some do, some don't. And this is where the problem comes in, because with everything, you know, like I keep saying, there's agreeable and disagreeable. And with the best intentions, you can still be fooled or tricked. This is where you have to now say, who can I trust? Because making evil fair seeming is something that is utilized to the uninitiated to have you thinking you're doing something right, but there is an ulterior motive from, you know, the person that might be putting it out with a sinister motive. So that's why Wu-Sabat, when you start to apply and look and research and check it out and compare with everyone else, you see what stands out. There will be a clear winner, and then that means, okay, that's who you put your trust in. That's why we say to people, don't believe us, go and check it out. We say, listen to everyone, check them out, do your own research, make your own mind up. But there are harmful frequencies that are being put out there and you don't know. So to answer that question, I would say, use the tones that we give you. Because another thing happened today, like we were talking about, because I got King to do the tones of the visualization frequency, which we've done, and we've, you know, it's on YouTube, and it's for 9 hours. And we were talking about it, and then the sister came and was like, you're playing this is what I sleep till now. And, you know, and I was like, it was quite, again, another part of this synchronicity we keep talking about. So I would only use tones that I trust, because I see that people are also doing silly things online. George Creed, we appreciate your donation. Thank you so much. If I'm a Puerto Rican, what ether is that? What's the correct name of a Puerto Rican? I saw a video that you said Jamaican is not the correct term to call Jamaica. Also save this live later. Okay, we always save our lives. Just go to the live section on the YouTube channel, OSM Vision. You'll see all the lives there, right? When I was saying about Jamaica, I'm just saying, like, in terms of, again, this book here. In fact, the master covers your question in this book. Let's set the record straight, because names are titles, and even names of countries and locations, and somebody gave that location, that place, that name. So you have to figure out why and what does it mean and where did it come from. So Puerto Ricans are part of the community. I keep, sorry, I just keep getting calls. So yeah, it's all about your vibration, and it's all about your vibration and your mix in terms of your, you know, your DNA. So if you want, what's the correct name for Puerto Rican? You know what? Because we've run out of time. Join the Telegram group, because it's in here, and I don't have time to look and search and find it, but it's in here. Because that Puerto Rican name, all right, let me see. Maybe I might get it to find it quick. That is dealing with a port. It's in here, but let me. If I don't find it quick, we'll have to do it in the Telegram group. So anyone on the live right now, if you haven't joined the Telegram group, please do, because that's where we continue the conversation. Yeah, I can't find it straight away, so that's not telling me that. But it's in here, definitely in here, because I was going through this the other day and I found it. But yeah, I'll find it and I'll post it in the Telegram group. All right, or other student teachers might be able to assist. Okay. Gosh, what's that question? Is there a firmament above the clouds, and how do we get to space, ocean? Yeah, I'm going to do a video on this. But the asteroid belt is part of what people are calling the firmament. But we've run out of time, but we're going to do a video too. I think we said that the last time. We're definitely going to do a video on dealing with that firmament. Okay, we're coming to the end. Now everyone's starting to ask questions because they want us to stay online. For those locations, what is the Wu-Sabat? Wu-Sabat. Oh yeah, if I'm mixed, my mother is Puerto Rican. Yeah, we'll have to come back to that. We'll have to come to that. All right, we went over by 5 minutes. And some of you who are still eating animals, I know you're looking forward to eating your turkeys tomorrow. You know, no shade, no shade. You have to work your way, and you know, to wean yourself off of that. It will help you. If you don't want to, it's fine. We're not forcing you to. I want to go to London just to sit down with you guys and build. You're welcome, Julian. Come. You know, we welcome everyone. You know what? It's amazing. We've actually had people come from Panama, Australia, obviously America, different places. So it's great to know that Wu-Sabat is truly reaching the world. And we want you to help. We want you to build and make sure that we change the vibration and frequency of the planet. Yeah, that's a great point, Vishal. All right. And remember, you're always welcome to come and do ones-to-ones with me. Send in your 3 questions recorded on your phone. Upload those to osmvision.wetransfer.com. The Telegram group is being put in the chat, so click on that. If you don't have the app, download it, install it. Remember, like our videos, share, subscribe to OSM Vision. We have many treats for you when we hit certain targets, like 999 on our Telegram group. So help us do that. We want to hit 100,000 subscribers, and then we're going to release never seen before. Trust me, like what we've got in store for you, but we need your help to help us get there, right? So do that. Bless you. I didn't sneeze, and you have to be careful where you're getting blessings from. So we say bliss. Have a blissful day. Thanks, Adam. I think I'm the only one from Hungary. You'll be surprised when you join our Telegram group. Just ask, is anybody else from Hungary there? And you'll see. Wu-Sabat is here for world peace, upliftment of humanity, love and unity, and we would like everyone's help, even if it's through visualization of the master teacher Partner Bab Yanun being free and being with us in the flesh. So your meditations, your visualizations will help to do that. I'm going to wait till 2 more minutes and it will be 9:40, and then we will sign off. All right. Thank you, family. It says, when I download the, I'm sorry, who's that? Tyre West. When I download the app, I still can't connect with you. How is that possible? But anyway, send a message. You can send a message in the chat now, if it's possible. And no, you don't want to put your personal stuff on there, but we got to figure out a way of how we can help you then. Okay, send an email to info@ds4s.net. That's a good way. I said it quickly. That's Delta Sierra, the number 4, and Sierra again, .net. Yeah? Okay, cool. 1 minute to go. What's that? PG, set the record straight. Okay. New Prince, I think you are going to have the last word, all right? I'd like to ask about what master teacher had to say about people like Dr. Sebi and Dr. Layla Africa. They were Nuwapians. Dr. Sebi was a Nuwapian, and he said great things about Dr. Sebi. I learned about Dr. Sebi through the master teacher, because he wrote a book called Purity and Neatness, talking about, you know, health and well-being, and he mentioned Dr. Sebi and said to check him out. That's how I got to learn. Dr. Layla Africa, I met personally. Yeah, and the master teacher embraces anyone and everyone that is teaching truth and upliftment, you know, of our people and people that want to, you know, vibrate on a certain frequency. Yes, so thank you. Oh, you want to?
One question.
Yeah.
If you live in the US
Mm-hmm.
and they want to join Wu-Sabat,
Mm-hmm.
does it have to be somewhere in the US or can they join the London?
You can join wherever you want, and obviously, logistically, it would make more sense to go to the nearest one near you, because in terms of like participation in events and, you know, certain rituals and things that are taking place. So I would suggest, if you got a local one, even in terms of postage and, you know, getting books and things. So, but wherever you feel the love, and you want to be a part of that, you know, you can participate online. But as I said, there would be restrictions in terms of your physical, you know, interaction and participation. Something you say to tell someone you are grateful to them when they have been kind to you. Is that a question, or? Here, let me help you with your shopping, or bless you there. Okay, there are people talking. We say ashuk tawahat, which means thanks. All right, family. Until the new Gregorian year, we'll do another our live, Ask Us Anything. But look out, more and more content is coming your way. Keep supporting us so that we can support you. All right. Wadu Muesar, which means bye family, and Tawukum. Thank you all. Wadu.